This is Honest Neighbour, a podcast about real estate, Oxford County, and everything in between.
No, you're going to introduce us.
No, I know, because dude, you can't put me on the spot then, because you have to ask me like.
Fine.
No, because
Ben can introduce us.
Yeah, right.
All right, this is Neil Crucial, and sorry,
You're not.
I'm not sorry.
Ben doesn't know who he is.
I am a little bit lost these days.
It's like that Bob Dylan movie where they all played 11 different people played Bob Dylan,
I don't think I've ever seen that.
and it was awesome because Galadriel,
Kate Blanchett.
Kate Blanchett is in it.
Wow,
She does
that was
Bob
some
Dylan.
recall. Let's get that going for Thursday.
Wow. I know, right? We're.
I am so stupid right now. Like we're gonna be terrible.
Nobody introduced us, so I'm going to introduce us.
Oh,
Welcome.
we
We don't
know
really
where we're
need.
starting.
We don't need introduction. We have a mug.
That's right. We have mugs now.
Yes,
we have Honest Neighbor
only
mugs.
Ben has his mug on us.
Well,
Ben was
Ben's
the only one
using it today.
who decided to clean.
Oh,
For
you
the
think
record, I
so?
had tea in mine last night before I went to bed, and it was very.
Did you wash it beforehand?
Of course, I washed my mug before, and I learned today that Neil reuses his Tim Hortons cups because he doesn't like to wash mugs. And
Did I already know that?
I'm a little bit concerned about you now.
It's
I
not a
I was
lot.
already really concerned about you, but I'm a
I
little
just
bit
fill
more
it up
concerned about you.
twice a day.
So
Like,
you buy one,
disgusting.
or
I buy
you?
one in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and then I refill the same cup. But you can't do it in
No.
perpetuity
It just starts to
because
fail. Yeah.
because they actually do use a different glue now. Where if you fill it up like 5 or 6 times, I'll push it sometimes, and it'll be sitting on the counter, and then I'll notice that the side will just open and coffee starts pouring out on the counter, and I gotta clean it
Do
soon
you
before
have
Pam
a
comes in.
dishwasher?
Oh yes,
But
Yeah.
you don't like
Okay.
putting mugs in it?
No,
Right.
I don't like mugs because mugs lose heat quickly.
I agree with
and
that.
I don't like
You think it
having
lose-
these kind
Why?
because
It doesn't lose heat quick enough.
well, there's that, but it's also too. It's just you can't microwave them. Some
Oh,
of them.
true.
We have
Right.
one that we can microwave it.
Okay, if I got you an Honest Neighbor mug like this that could go in the microwave and the dishwasher, would you use it?
as long as
Okay.
it wasn't like a
I'm on a
Yeti or
mission.
something. You can't give me one of those premium things.
Why will you not use a Yeti? Because it's okay. You can't put a Yeti in the dishwasher or in the
That's why.
microwave. Though.
That's
I
So
put mine in the
microwave.
dishwasher all
That
the
was
time.
my reasoning
by the way.
behind
Mine go in the dishwasher, but not in the microwave.
Oh, okay.
It was
sorry.
partially that and partially because I didn't want to appear bougie.
Our
have two.
Remax mugs that John gave us, our broker, his name is John. Poor John. I think he spends a lot of time worrying about the three of
No,
us.
he
Wait a second, though. You
doesn't.
brought that with
Hold
to get
on.
brownie points.
I-
You brought that with you, and you put it in all your pictures.
I was on vacation recently, and I might have brought my Remax mug from our boss, and then I don't think it was for brownie points. Every day, I texted him a picture of my mug, whatever we were doing.
I love Kelly, but she kisses ass.
I don't think that's kissing ass, though. I think that's like, suck it, I'm on vacation, not working.
But you also were working.
It was working. I did sell a couple houses from vacation.
And-
Thank you, Ben.
No, you did work too.
No,
Not
I
just the stuff I
legitimately.
did.
Yeah, no,
You
I'm
thought of product placement. You had to think of what corner of the picture that mug needed to be in so
I
that you
know.
could capture the background shot. As
Was
I
well.
this
know.
like a thinly veiled attempt to write off your trip?
It wasn't, but
Yeah,
now
now
that
it
you're
is. Yeah.
saying that, I mean, could I write off my trip if I looked at property while we were on
Maybe.
vacation?
I always look at property on vacation, if you know what I mean.
So do I.
That just means opening Zillow on a beach somewhere.
I know.
Okay, I didn't know what that meant. I was like, is that code for swimwear? What is
No.
he talking about?
It means I'm writing off every vacation, man.
No, that one I definitely could. There's not a way that I could possibly write it off. But it was very difficult to figure out where to place that mug in the photo, especially towards the end of the day, where there may have been a couple of adult beverages.
There's just too much
consumed.
scenery you don't want to block out.
I know.
Hey, have you ever found, can tennis lessons be written off?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
I just
but-
thought I would ask.
But a couple of my clients are joining us this year for tennis lessons. So, but we don't pay for tennis lessons. So,
Oh,
no.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I know what you're referencing. Neil's just being a jerk to me right
I'm
now.
not being, how am I being a jerk? Oh, dear.
I think I know what
He's
you're talking
referencing the
about.
tennis lessons that I paid for when I was in Florida.
Right.
That's not, I'm not
Yeah.
saying anything wrong
Or
with
is this
it.
the trophy wife thing?
Oh, yes. They asked if I was
Ben
a
went there.
trophy wife. Look, I was flattered by that.
I
First
don't blame
of all,
you. If someone thought I was a trophy husband, I'd be like, first of all, get your eyes checked. Secondly,
I'm like, thank you.
I would have been like, thank you for the barefaced flattery.
No,
what do you want?
no, I am definitely not a trophy wife.
All right, well, welcome to the Honest Neighbor podcast.
A podcast about
where we
trophy
just
wives,
talk about nothing.
vacations,
in particular.
and our Remax mugs, and Neil's inability to wash mugs, which is
I
disgusting.
have ability to watch mugs.
It's willingness.
It's not efficient if I have 7 cups a day
Do you drink 7 cups
or
of coffee
something.
a day?
I drink a lot of coffee.
I drink like 5, yeah, but I make mine half decaf. So I only get coffee from Early Bird. Hi, Early Bird. And I get the ground decaf
Still waiting
coffee.
for that sponsorship.
And I get ground dark roast, and then I do like a third decaf and 2/3 caffeinated.
It's like the bougiest
so that I can
coffee.
It is
hold
pretty.
on, so that I can drink. I drink a lot of coffee. I love coffee, but if I drink only full caffeinated coffee and 5 cups of it, nobody wants to see me after that. Like, that's
But do you, when
not
you go to
good.
Starbucks, do you do all the fancy ordering? Like, do you say, "Can I have some purple raw granulated sugar with yak's milk?"
Grande
or
skinny.
something like that.
Would you like to hear my Starbucks
Yeah,
order?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
For crying out loud.
How long is it? How many syllables?
I get a grande skinny vanilla latte,
That's lots.
no whip, no foam, extra hot.
Whoa,
That actually sounds pretty good.
it
It's
does.
very
It sounds.
reasonable.
Yeah, it sounds.
And that's like $14.25.
yeah, it's like
$16.75?
half a mortgage payment.
It is up to like $7, which
Oh my
is
goodness.
yeah. So I get maybe once a month. Like it's
That's just a
it's
treat?
It's a
Treat?
treat.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
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 no,
yeah.
it's a
Okay,
treat.
so coffee, Starbucks actually helped me to learn to be punctual on
how?
time on
Okay.
film set because I used to work on movie sets
Okay.
and television. And if you were late, you had to buy your department, everyone in your department, coffee, which happened to be Starbucks.
Oh, from
So there were
Starbucks.
7 people in our department. So that's like $35
That's
you're
a day's
dropping.
wages.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be. You want to be
On time.
You want to be punctual.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's and me, I just thought it was all crap, so I would just get an Americano.
Yeah.
And it's just like a regular coffee on
Yeah.
steroids.
Oh, I love an
Yeah, yeah.
Americano.
It's just strong.
I
Okay,
just
so-
like like straight up
Black.
brewed coffee,
Yeah.
black, good
Same.
quality bean. Don't
from Early
mess
Bird.
around with it.
Patrick Dunham makes a
Yes,
fantastic coffee.
Pat's beans, we love them.
Yeah, Patrick's beans.
Patrick's beans,
Wait.
sorry.
They have one called Smooth Velvet Hammer, and that is the coffee of champions.
I don't think I
I'm a
know
new
Patrick's
convert
beans.
to Smooth Velvet Hammer. We like the Saturday grind as well.
Oh, okay.
It's a little more mellow than the Smooth Velvet Hammer,
Yeah.
but both called like quality brews.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Pat
Yeah,
works
yeah.
out of
Where? Yeah, where? I don't even know
he's
about
out
this.
of London, I think.
Okay, I'll
Like
try
He
it
used
Western
to work
Fair
for
area?
that fire roasted coffee company, and then he started his own company.
Yeah, it's available at the Woodstock Market. I think they have it at Beantown.
Yeah,
downtown
and he
as well.
actually delivers it to people because
Okay.
he brings it into town, and my sister gets it and stuff like that.
Funny
Beantown also
story
has-
about Patrick. My youngest was like 5 months old, and we were looking for a cheap vacation, so we booked a crappy resort in Dominican Republic, and I went with Amanda and Nolan, and my mom came. And the last day we were there, the second last day, I guess, I'm standing in the pool and I look over, and there's Pat Dunham.
Really?
And I have not seen Pat Dunham in like 12 years before that time. So we ended up kind of hanging out for the whole day and had dinner together and all that. And he turns out he was in Dominican to visit,
Source beans.
where they grow the
Cool.
beans and stuff. So he's trying to
Oh,
buy
cool.
writing off a vacation. Right? There we go. Yeah, smart man.
Okay, so speaking of Starbucks taught you to be punctual, did you have a client not show up on time yesterday? And
dear.
what did you do, Neil?
I did. I left.
How long did you wait?
Life
I
imitates
waited
art.
15 minutes, just like I said I do.
Yeah.
He's a man
Yeah,
of his
I was-
word, folks.
And then I was gone.
So
and then
the-
I got an email this morning.
Yeah.
Was that the only acknowledgement from the potential client?
Yes.
The email this morning. No
Yes.
calls.
No,
I
emailed him because I had, and I'll be honest on this. I looked at our email exchange, and I don't know that if it was completely conveyed to him that it was 100% go.
Understood.
So it might have been
okay.
because I was checking with tenants on
Yep.
it. So I
Understood.
said that to him in the email. I said, look, I waited 15 minutes. I was there yesterday, but I said I have a nagging suspicion that you might not have felt that it was conveyed to you 100% that we actually had the meeting.
Yeah.
I was waiting back unattended.
Yeah.
So just like a miscommunication and confirmation.
But at the
that
same
happens
token,
though.
15 minutes was long enough because
Yeah.
if I had waited longer, that would have been. I didn't end up hearing from him for till the next day.
But did you try to call or email him at that time? Because I would
No,
normally
no.
call or email at that time and say, "Hey, I'm here. Are you coming?"
I had some other things I had to get done, so I just went along with it because I assumed he either. In commercials, sometimes people just get caught up with work and they don't show up, or which sucks because, as I said, there should be that decorum. But at the same token, sometimes it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's too bad.
But yeah.
Well, at the 13-minute mark, I knew what was going on. I started playing the Jeopardy theme song on my phone, like actually. And I was literally waiting, looking at my phone for you to update and be like, "They're here," or
I'm leaving.
"I'm gone," and you were gone.
Yeah, it had to happen. It's just you can't sit there forever.
No, you can't. Actually, and we got a ton of feedback on that episode, and people 100% agreed with you that lateness is arrogance. And
That was Ben's line,
15 minutes is more than enough to wait.
I wish I could recall who said that to me, initially.
I think it was Drew Simmons.
yeah.
And I think that because someone
Janet mentioned that,
so I
but,
think it might have been Drew Simmons. And I know Drew is an extremely punctual person, so I could see that.
Yeah, I can't picture him being
That's
late.
my
I
guess.
have an
Habit
odd
anyway.
story for meeting somebody around the world.
Okay.
So when I used to work for Royal Caribbean, and I was in the Bahamas doing 3 and 4 day cruises out of Port Canaveral,
Nice.
I saw Heather Thompson, the daughter of the gentleman who taught me bagpipes.
So she
walk
worked
out-
for Disney, right?
She worked for Disney,
Yeah, because
and
my
she-
wife did too. They were on the same boat, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Hey, wait, your wife worked for Disney?
On the cruise ship, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's
So
cool.
yeah, because I walked out of an internet cafe in the
Oh, when those were a
Bahamas.
thing.
Yeah, and I heard somebody yell my name. They're like, Neil. And I turned around and in the
You guys
Bahamas.
would have been in high school together, right?
Yes, yeah. And the other cool thing in the Bahamas there, but we knew that we were both working there. Sean Hilderly and I used to meet up once a week in the Bahamas, and we'd go
No
for
way.
lunch. Yeah, we'd
Cool.
be like,
I
"Hey, you're gonna be in the Bahamas this week? Let's go for lunch." Okay.
You guys are so exciting and cool with your world travels. I just book a 3-star Dominican.
My husband and I were in Mexico once, and with a bunch of friends, and like our second day there, I could hear a voice. I'm like, that sounds like our neighbors from Woodstock, and it was our neighbors from Woodstock. Yeah, they were on vacation at the same resort, same time, same everything, and we didn't know. We figured it out when we got there.
That's crazy.
They
know.
probably spied on you. They were totally keeping up with the Joneses. Like, we gotta go to that resort. Just kidding.
I feel like I actually ran into someone that I know somewhere super remote once, and I'm trying to figure out where it was, but I don't remember. I know that it's happened, but I don't remember now where it was. So I'm going to think about this, and I'll let
Make sure
guys
you
know.
update us on that.
I will, because I'm going to say it was somewhere in Europe. I literally, like, physically ran into somebody and
bumped
was like,
into
"Oh
them?
my gosh!" Like,
Hey, you got that 20 you owe me?
but I got to figure out where it was. So I'll remember and I'll update you guys. Ben, I think you had an actual real estate conversation you wanted to have today.
Do I? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
It was about the cooling off period.
Oh, British
Okay.
Columbia.
Yeah. All right.
Why don't you give us a backstory?
Did you guys well, I'm
I
not
did.
that up to date on it, but there's a lot of changes happening to real estate in Ontario, which I guess it's in Canada.
Yep.
That we will be probably talking about going forward. We should probably address Tressa at some point on the podcast.
We
because
should, but I think it keeps changing.
well, yeah, like
I gotta read it.
I get frustrated.
Just kidding.
I get frustrated by people who want to make interpretations of legislation before it actually exists, and they're making all these plans and getting upset and frustrated. It's not even in place yet, so
Yeah.
I just I like to wait until it's
In place.
here and we can
Yeah.
adapt to it. But
Yep.
in BC, and I think it started in January.
Yep.
They have this thing. It's a cooling off period for every residential transaction. And what it essentially is a buyer can basically walk away from a transaction within 3 business days of acceptance of an offer for any reason that they choose.
And they just pay a rescission.
Yeah, it's 0.25% of
Yeah.
the purchase price. So for $1 million, it's $2,500.
Okay.
And that goes to the seller,
Yes.
right? Yes, that goes to the seller.
Okay.
And now there's a lot of chat about that should just not exist, that people should be making big boy grown up decisions when they write an offer on a property. And I worry that they're going to try this here.
So I think that, so I think that had unintended consequences.
Well, like most legislation.
Which is they found that people would put offers on multiple properties to see what they would get.
So there's an agent by the name of Alex Gerchin.
Yep.
And he said, this is what they're going to do. This was last year when they announced it. He said, you know what they're going to do? Buyers are going to make 5 offers on 5 different properties and then pick their favorite, whatever was the best deal, whichever one worked out best for them.
Yeah.
And then it will come out in the wash. They'll pay the rescission fee and they'll be happy. But 4 sellers are going to be left screwed. And you're not screwed, but you know as well as I do, when you have a hot new listing that goes on the market, that first week is crucial to getting things sold properly for the best price and the best terms.
You get
you
the
go
most amount
back
of
on
money.
market, like that's not a good look.
Oh, no.
What happened? Did it fail inspection?
Yeah.
Like, did it not appraise? What's going on? Why did this house not come together?
And would people not be malicious in that? I want to dick somebody. Hey, you know what? I'm going to put an offer in on that house, on their house. Because if you wanted to, as a realtor, we know that like you said, if a property comes back on the market, it doesn't, there's a little bit of a stigma to it.
A little bit.
People start to question. They're like, hey, that was sold, wasn't it? What happened with that? And they start to worry. I've only once or twice ever gone into multiples twice where I had an offer and then it fell apart and I got another multiple and it got the same amount.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you get back to that same point, right?
Even if you're not in multiples, though, the first week on the market, you're
Yes.
probably going to, if you get an offer the first week on the market, it's probably going to be close to list price, if not
Probably.
more. I have buyers right now that looked at a house on the weekend. I'm going to hypothetically say it was listed for $850, and they asked about going in at $800, and I said no. It's the first 3 days on the market. You can't offer $800. They're not going to take $800 the first 3 days on the market. If you wait a week and it's still there, you can go in then, and we can try them. Because the reality is, the longer it sits on the market, the more negotiation room somebody has. So
usually, yeah.
even if there's not multiples, if you have an offer and then, you have your 3-day window of cooling off and they decline, it goes back on the market, 95% of the time you're going to get less than the first time around. And so I think it's a problem because of those unintended consequences. I think in so many ways it was born out of good intentions.
I was just going to say, why do you think that this was put in place?
Well,
I think part of it's because I think people don't ask the proper people when they're doing the legislation. When Queen's Park is sitting up there and they're doing our trust in real estate and stuff, and sure, they go around and they ask the presidents of the boards and stuff like that to some degree, but a lot of the stuff is rushed. A lot of the stuff is done without a lot of consultation. And a lot of the time, you've got people making decisions that aren't active in real estate. At the end of the day, the person who's penning that isn't a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Or,
So I agree with you, but I also think that probably the original intention, regardless of who made the decision or gave that input, was because in the frenzy of the market and you have multiple offers, essentially people regretted their decision sometime. And I think the intention was simply to have this cooling off period where if you made a bad decision, you can essentially go back on that. And I understand it from the perspective of protecting buyers. Or maybe something comes up 3 days later that is a valid reason not to follow through on the purchase. But at the end of the day...
Yeah, like a better listing.
Well,
See, that's the other thing. Like, oh, you know what? It's only going to cost us 0.25% to drop this deal and go over to the one that was just listed across the road. It's a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
It's nicer spot, better house, good price. We'll go for that one instead. In fact, why don't we just write an offer now on it? And then in 3 days, we just won't remove this, whatever you call it, cooling off period. And they can keep the 2
Well, if you're in a luxury area in British Columbia that not many houses come up, one of your neighbors puts up a house that's more expensive than yours, put your own offer on it and then throw your house up for sale.
I do.
There's just so many ways to abuse.
Manipulate,
I just we sign under seal. That is to be a solemn offer to purchase. So is there no seals on their deals? Maybe there aren't. I don't know.
There's also that intent though. I understand the intent of what the government was doing, but they're then taking a side. They're protecting buyers. Right? Why is the government protecting the buyer over the seller?
Is it like a sledgehammer to pound in a nail or whatever that saying is?
It just seems odd. Like we understand the intent for it, but it just seems like it was something where it's rushed. They rush to fix stuff because there's so many different nuances to a problem like
moving
this.
parts.
How do you address it all in one go? Because what could be used in a malevolent or an evil way in one way might not be able to be done in another. So parts of the rules are, and then they've got a period where it's not applicable to leasehold stuff or
It's really
properties
only
on lease.
residential properties. It's not in anything else. There's no commercial, nothing like that.
So a friend of mine works for the municipal government in Detroit. And I learned recently that in Michigan, essentially all home sales are subject to a mandatory inspection. And it's not a home inspection that how we view a home inspection. It's actually an inspection by the city to have certain things looked at for fire and insurance
Yeah, I mean, have you been to
purposes,
Detroit?
basically.
There's a lot of sketchy places that maybe
and so
you
you
don't
have
wanna
to
buy.
essentially have like an electrical inspection. There's a couple things, and so I thought that was interesting because I'm actually not opposed to that type of. I don't want to say condition in an offer, but maybe the onus goes on the sellers to have that addressed first. So, your electrical has to meet like a minimum code. Your something, whatever that might be. And I do. So here's the thing. I know it
can of
opens a
worms.
huge can of worms, but I also think, for example, with this mandatory cooling off period, if it was say 3 days only for a condition of inspection for certain things, I think that would protect the buyer to a certain extent. But it couldn't just be like, oh, you have 3 days, you change your mind.
Right.
I would love to see some type of, okay, first of all, I don't necessarily agree with it at all, but if they were going to have a mandatory cooling off period, I think that it should be more in the sense that you have 3 days to perform a home inspection, and if there are significant deficiencies with X, Y, Z, then
Like code violations.
Yeah. Versus if you just find another house, sorry, I think that should be like you forfeit your entire deposit because that's not fair to the seller.
How in the
how do you
world
prove that?
How
I
do you
don't
deal
know.
with that?
I'm
Like
just
right,
thinking.
like right now, we even write these conditions and offers that say like, oh, the inspection is acceptable to the buyer and the buyer's sole and absolute discretion, and then people will say, well, we kind of want to back out of the deal, and you sort of go like, well, you don't have for another reason. You don't have a way to back out of the deal. So if you back out for something that isn't the inspection or something that isn't the financing, then you are not bargaining in good faith.
Yeah.
And like that's just it's a mess.
People
Have you
have
ever had
sued for
anyone
that.
go after somebody?
I was just going to
No,
say,
but it can happen.
I have.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yep.
Yeah, people have
Absolutely.
sued.
Story time.
Because they used something other than they used the financing clause. But they had pretty much conveyed that the financing was going to be fine.
Oh, and then did the seller say we want proof that they
Yes,
couldn't get financing? We want to know
absolutely. And they
what
wouldn't
they
release the
tried to
money.
do. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're within their rights to do that. This doesn't happen very often. People usually just go, you know what, we'll just go back on the market, it'll be fine. But imagine a time where you've got, say, a 2-week condition, and in that 2 weeks, interest rates went up a half a point, and you just lost $50,000 worth of value on your house because of that. It's not that unimaginable, given what we've been through over the past 14 months, that could happen.
And the funny thing is, too, when we talk about that cooling off period in the British Columbia thing, it's not really a cooling off period, is it? It's really what they've done is they've outlawed cash offers.
Well, it's true.
Really, because they're because you can use any condition. Doesn't matter. They basically just said there's no such thing as a condition for 4 days. You can use any excuse you want to walk. Really, right?
Basically.
yeah, literally, there is
And
no.
please, if you're in BC or you understand this legislation and we're wrong,
Yeah.
please let us know because we want to know whether we've got this wrong. Because I feel like it may end up being tried here as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd like to be prepared for that. Now the BC's done other stuff that they haven't adopted here. Like you can't do multiple representation in BC,
Yep.
and that's been that way for I'm going to say 2, maybe 3 years. And now we're trying something a little bit differently nationally with designated agency, and that's all coming out. But we'll talk about that later when we get some more rules about it.
Yep.
But they've outlawed multiple rep, and we haven't. So maybe we won't entirely follow in their footsteps. But this cooling off thing, you're right. That's what it does. It eliminates somebody walking in and saying, I will give you this price today, firm and binding, 100%, we're going to close. That just doesn't exist anymore in BC.
Yeah.
And that's a problem
I do think-
for many reasons.
I still stand firm that it had great intentions, but
Well, of course.
unfortunately, the unintended consequences. And then from what I was reading, it also actually caused more supply issues. So you already had tight supply, and then when you have one
Compounds
buyer
it.
putting offers on 4 properties, and 4 properties are temporarily taken off the market, it just skewed things a little bit.
It exaggerates the demand.
Yeah,
Right? Because
it's an
every buyer
interesting-
presents as 4 or 5 buyers if they're going to
Exactly.
do that, right?
So they BC kind of had the same thing that we had, in which their home prices fell. I think about 20-ish% over the past 6 months. And then the legislation came in effect in January. And my understanding is their home prices have started increasing at faster rates than expected. And so the question, here's the thing, you don't know why the home prices increase at faster rates than expected. It could be a number of things, but some of the articles that I have read on this cooling off period suggest that may have played into it because of essentially artificial buyers or artificial demand when one buyer is suddenly 4 buyers or making offers on 4 properties.
Yeah, it's amazing
really
how
interesting.
Have you
it's
ever
amazing
had a client
how
do that? Do offers on multiple properties?
I will not
No,
publicly
I
admit
won't
that.
do it.
No, I don't think I've ever done that.
So I haven't done it. I won't do it. And what I would say to a buyer that wanted to do that would be when you sign an offer, it is in good faith. And should you choose not to proceed on one of them, if we ever get asked, I will be honest in that you had an offer on another property
I've had clients do it.
and you were not in good faith. The thing is, if you get caught, you're going to get sued.
Is
No,
that
but
more
my
common
clients who
in
do it though, my clients who do it will buy them both or 3. All
Okay,
3
so
of them.
sorry,
Oh, well,
that's
that's
different.
different. Yeah.
Sorry, if you have the intention of buying any of the offers, houses or whatever, you get accepted. That's totally different. I would do that. Of course, I would. No, but I mean, if a buyer would I allow a buyer to offer on 3 properties with
No.
the intention only to purchase one? No. No, because again, it's manipulating the market a little bit. It's skewing what's happening, and the reality is, they're going to get sued, and I'm going to get sued if we follow through on that.
Have you
Yeah.
ever told anyone that you won't write an offer for them?
Absolutely, multiple times, and I've also had people where I'll
Quite
say,
the look on their face though when you tell them.
I'll
that,
do
though.
this, but you're going to sign this waiver that says I'm advising you not to do
At
this.
what
and
point
this
does
is
it
why.
become an offer though? Because I've had people email me say, on my own listing, and it's 700,000, and they're like, I'll write up 575 right now, and you're like, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, I've done that. Yeah.
Because there's so much work that goes into an offer. It's not just filling in the blanks. There's a whole process that goes into it if you're doing it properly. So I don't want to do that when I know there's no chance it's going to get accepted.
I even did that this weekend when clients wanted to put 800 on 850, and I
Oh,
said,
yeah, you already said that you
if
did
you
that, yeah.
really want to buy this property, I'm not going to do that, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that because
Here's
what you're
Ben's
going to do
number.
right now. No, but I just explained to them, look, the seller's not going to take that right now. The listing agent has made that very clear. And what you're doing is hurting your chances of
Well,
getting
you
it.
never know, Kelly.
No, we
This
do
is what you hear. You
know.
never know.
We do. And here's the thing. If in a week that property is still on the market, I will happily do it in a week when they have a chance of getting it. But when you do it on the first day literally the first day on the market,
So
you're not getting it.
This is another thing we could talk about. When you are, if you have a fresh, hot listing,
Yeah.
and someone comes in right away and offers you full price, is that good bargaining position for those buyers to come in and do that? Because oftentimes you'll get that offer right away. That's a good offer on a well-priced
Yeah.
house, and the seller goes, "Well, no, I mean, we've only had 2 showings. I'm not gonna take that price right now." So is it a disadvantage to jump on a listing as soon as you see one that you like to write an offer that day? Is it okay to just take a breather and say maybe we wait 12 hours or 24 hours? Because I've seen it from the other side where you get that full price offer and the seller's like, well, like,
Did
why don't we
price too
wait?
low?
I try and qualify it. Well, let me say this: we don't. It's not like 5 years ago when we presented offers all the time, right? But part of my offer presentation, when I would present an offer that was done quickly, would be to try and convey that this offer was coming not as a result of it being underpriced or as a result of it being whatever, but as a result of my clients have been looking for 6 months straight. We've worked really, really hard, and I've trained them and had them ready so that when the time came, they would jump. And
And that's exactly what you got to do. And whenever I'm in that situation, I'm always very careful about the pricing, and it's quite a bit of a conversation that you have with the seller before you set an asking price. And normally they understand where we're positioned in the market, whether they are 10% over what they should be, whether they're right at what they should be, or whether they're under what it should sell for. And usually when one comes in, I told you so. This is exactly what we thought would happen. We caught a hot buyer who's been looking for months, hasn't found anything. Maybe they've lost on a couple. They know what they like when they see it, and they're going to jump right on it. That's exactly who you want as a seller.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're highly motivated, likely qualified. They've probably been through this process a couple times.
Yep.
But you do get that nagging doubt from yourself and as well as from the seller that says like, hey, maybe maybe we could have get more. Just be
Yeah.
patient.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
So that's what started holding offers and all that stuff. So we're right back where
Yeah.
we were like 2 years ago.
The interesting thing is I do find some buyers there's like two types of buyers. One that are like, this is the house. We will go in full price the first day because we've been looking and looking. And then you have buyers that are like, oh, okay, I'm probably going to sit back and wait and see what happens. They wait and see, and now there's 6 offers. And they probably could have bought it the first day at full price.
Have they already lost one?
Oh, you're right. It makes a huge difference if they've lost one.
2 months later,
already.
the same house.
Yeah.
I
is
usually tell
$40,000
people that.
more.
I usually tell people that you're going to lose this one. There's a good chance you will not
Yeah.
win this.
Right.
With your first one going in.
Yep.
Because everybody does. I lost my first one. The first house that I fell in love with. And they say real estate agents fall in love with 1 to 2 houses a year. Right?
Interesting. So I don't actually.
Well,
Never.
yeah, because you live in paradise.
Yeah.
I do. I do live in a very nice house on a very nice street, but I'll tell you why I love my house, and it's not to do with the actual house itself. Yes, I have a nice house. I will say I have if I was to, all my neighbors have bigger, fancier houses than me, or most of them do.
I would say that's probably true.
Yeah,
You have
they do. We have a 3-bedroom bungalow.
I would call it a humble home in an amazing neighborhood.
You're a
Absolutely.
humble home in a gated community. We love it.
Why I love my house is because we have amazing neighbors.
Is humble
And
an insulting word about your house? I don't mean to insult you.
No, I think it is a
It's
humble
just
home.
like it's a
Absolutely.
good place in a good spot.
We built a 3-bedroom
humble
bungalow
home on that
in a nice
street.
street. Yes, it is on that
Let's
street.
qualify
That's fair.
that.
So, but I love my home because of my neighbors. So I wouldn't. It's fun. We do a lot of ladies' nights and different neighborhood things where we're in people's houses. So I've seen most of my neighbors' houses, and 90% of them are way nicer and fancier than mine. Technically speaking, they are worth more money. Some of them would sell literally for twice as much money as my house would sell for. But it's funny. I don't actually get like house envy because I see how much work it is for people to get their house ready for sale, to buy another house. I have no interest in moving because I like my neighbors.
Your maturity is showing, Kelly.
Oh my goodness. And I will tell you this. I have worked with people who believe that a bigger, fancier house will make them happier. That is rarely true. If you are unhappy in your life, whatever that might be, it is highly unlikely that a better, bigger, fancier house will make a difference.
Yeah, wherever you go, there you are.
Here's the thing,
right?
like people have obviously very valid reasons to move. You need, a different number of bedrooms, you need to upsize or downsize, you need to move locations. For sure. And
You need a pot filler for your dog bowl.
Yeah.
obviously. But at the end of the day, if you are unhappy in whatever house you're in, you're not going to be happy.
The
in a
houses
different
I fall
house.
in love with though aren't regular houses, right? Like
You like century homes, right?
Yeah, so there'll be houses that I'll walk through and I'll be like, "Wow, what a cool feature!" And you can't
Yeah.
see that feature in a new built house, or it'll have like a Moran, like a stream weaving through. Like your backyard here, Ben, is stellar, right?
Oh
To
my
me,
gosh.
This is the sort
Yeah,
of
I can't believe you're making fun of where I live. Like, if I was going to talk about who has the nicest house here, I think Ben
The
might.
house is fine. It's the property. We bought it for the property. The house is whatever.
Your house is amazing.
no, it is. It's
And your yard is
fantastic.
amazing.
I am the little one here. I have a tiny little baby.
Yeah, but your house is adorable. So I would
is
say,
adorable.
like,
I do love your house too, Neil.
The thing
It's
is, your
actually
house is
kind of big
perfect.
when people look at it and they're like, "Oh, what do you got there? 900 square feet?" And it's like 1,700.
That's a big house for a bungalow.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
quite
It is.
large.
It's unassuming though, and I actually love it now. Since you've painted it, it looks really good.
Oh, it's
I love
beautiful.
That I have to give credit to my wife on that. She decided everything to do with that, and she took the initiative. I, however, did discover that if you need to take vines off a century home, and don't come at me with the whole "you're a real estate agent, you shouldn't have vines on your home,"
They look
because they
cool.
look cool.
They're also good for your heating and cooling.
They are actually
they?
really good
Yes,
for
they
that.
are.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
They're terrible for a lot of other
If
things.
you have to take on them off, yeah, they screw your mortar and everything. But if you have to take them off, a whippersniffer does amazingly well.
Really?
Oh my god!
Well,
when I
against
tacked
brick,
my house,
like you just fire it right on the brick,
Right
and
on.
it takes all the little bits that are
Yeah,
stuck.
a lot of it. It
Yeah,
did
so
quite good.
I had vines growing on the side of my shop, and it's a corrugated steel building.
Right.
And I took them down 7 years ago, and you can still see evidence of those vines all over
Wow.
the side of the shop.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can't just get rid of them easily.
Well, it's
Yeah.
weird because they've got the two kinds, right? You've got they've got the Boston ivy, which is an indigenous species around this area, and then they've got the Virginia creeper.
It's like Ed Lawrence.
And Virginia creeper has come up from the south. It travels a lot faster, and you see the Virginia creeper choking out a lot of the other native plants when it crawls up. The Virginia creeper has like poisonous little berries. But
I'm really excited that you're on our trivia team for
Yeah.
trivia. Our team is on a Thirsty Thursday trivia for the real estate board. It'll be after the fact by the time this
That ought to
airs.
work well for you, Neil.
And I'm just really happy that you're on our team, Neil.
Well, thank you.
Also, my friend Sarah is on our team as my spouse because my spouse was away that night. So I bring in my friend Sarah as our spouse, and she's the other smartest person I know. So it actually might keep tabs between the two of you.
Yeah.
Who gets
I'm
the
not a smart
most
person.
correct answer?
No, I just watched
You're,
Jeopardy.
you're not smart. You're brilliant.
Oh, God.
I'm curious to see
all
who
right.
gets
Why
the
don't we
most
wrap
smart
up this
answers.
episode
Okay.
to pump
Okay,
Neil's
good.
tires a little bit,
Yes,
and
yes.
everybody's feeling pretty good. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a great day. If you have any questions or clarifications on the cooling off period, please send them through. We'd be happy to hear from
Absolutely.
you. What's the email address?
thehonestneighbor@gmail.com.
We need to plug that more.
Yes,
so we can get some
thehonestneighbor@gmail.com.
reciprocal feedback from our listener.
You can also comment on our YouTube videos,
Yes.
on our Spotify stuff, or you can find us on Instagram @TheHonestNeighbor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adios.